If you have never been to Klein Roosboom, then quite simple. Get to Durbanville Hills, drive out, take a right, and about 30 seconds later look for a sign that says hashtag Cape Town's best kept secret. And I think that's a pretty good line to have, because in the 8 minutes I have spent so far in the company of this gem that you call home, it really is exactly that. Something that as you arrive, Peter, you discover is absolutely magical.
Yeah, no, there is clearly something quite unique towards the whole Durbanville wine valley. Lot more to offer, although it's wine, but I mean exceptional wines, a lovely space to just sit down and relax with your kids, with a glass of wine, inside a cave, outside, or in the restaurant with a nice meat platter.
Tell me a bit about the history to a place that the moment I came in just screamed out family.
Yeah, so Klein Roosboom is all about family. If you look at all the wine labels, it's dedicated to a family member, and the stories on the back label stories is the dedication towards that family member, written by Karen de Villiers, the current owner of the farm, and it's been going on for 3 generations now.
It forms part of what is quite a small valley in terms of number of producers, but a very, very close-knit one, and one that I think people are starting to discover more of and discover more beyond just Sauvignon Blanc. What's your sense of the growth of the Durbanville Wine Valley?
I mean, it's just thanks to all the clients that actually takes the turn off. You know, let's start there. By all the people that's visiting and getting more announced or you know, recognizes the wine valley on its own in Durbanville. I mean, it's amazing to see a lot of people that does the time and effort to come and visit. Although we are situated so close to Cape Town, Blouberg, and just out the borders of Stellenbosch, that the people usually wants to go to. And I think it's just a wonderful experience to have and to host all of these people.
Part of the reason I think that people are still discovering Durbanville from a wine perspective is that it's not that old in terms of wine, but the farms have been here for a long time. Look at somewhere like De Grendel, where I think Charles Hopkins' grandfather was worried that his cows wouldn't have anywhere to feed if they were to grow grapes. Durbanville Hills across the road has been going for less than 30 years. There's a farming history here as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so on Klein Roosboom, started out as a dairy farm, cows, cattle, sheep, the usual agricultural mixed farming, and there was a lot of grain on this farm, and so the farmers started to plant steen or Chenin for the rabat, the brandy side of things, and the cellar was built for the main purpose for distilling brandies. And I mean, the still wine shipped to Stellenbosch to become pot still brandies. And that's how the whole story in Durbanville basically started, on catching on to growing grapes.
It is wine I'm looking forward to tasting, and I know we're going to do some of that. I'm also looking forward to finding out about 2 recommendations I had when people heard I was coming to visit you guys. One was a place called Jean, where they said the food's pretty good, you got to look out for this. Yeah. And then the other they said was caves. Now, I'm a bit claustrophobic. I'm not really an underground kind of person. Delving into the subterranean terroir of Klein Roosboom was something I was a little nervous about. Tell me first of all about Jean, and then tell me if I need a helmet and a torch to come and explore your caves.
Jean restaurant was, as COVID hits, came up and running, and extraordinary chef started out with very high-end class foods paired with our wines. All stewards on the farm, we do deep training with them on the foods and the wines and the pairing suggestions, and they're very knowledgeable. The caves, it is a story on its own. We had an incident about a tourist that came to Klein Roosboom and was highly disgusted because she couldn't find any caves. As we mentioned on the website, come visit our caves, and she thought, well, she's in for a treat. You know, it's Kangu Grotte all over again. But at the end of the day, it was old cement tanks, wine tanks, that we broke through the one side of the wall, themed inside, and you can enjoy your wines and some platters inside these so-called caves.
Well, spoiler alert, I did get here a while ago and I was able to stick my head in. I knew full well I wouldn't need my ropes and my lights. What I did know is I was going to have a great deal of fun. So let me share that with you, because the caves here at Klein Roosboom, well, let me simply say, Pitty's Wine's got a lot of work to do if it's going to match up to the thrill and delight of the key feature of a visit to this very special part of Durbanville. Central to the charm of Klein Roosboom is the caves, not the sorts you need your headlamps and grappling irons for, but instead these wonderful little rooms, these little boudoirs that have been carefully designed and decorated and turned into these tiny corners of enchantment. Petey, whose idea, whose stroke of genius was this?
So this was Karen de Villiers' idea. She has got this amazing vision for architecture and inspirations and creativity. She's just a creativity ball of wisdom.
If I look at one of them just behind you, Marrakesh immediately sweeps you into this North African vista. It feels so authentic. It also feels like the kind of place that would have a velvet rope in front of it, a museum. You'd have to look over, take your photo, and then be hurried along by a security guard. But these are actually places you can go inside, have some wine, and be part of.
Yeah, so you can make a booking in for each cave, and 2 weeks in advance. The Marrakesh is quite favorite for engagement parties and Valentine's parties and surprises. Then we have the kitchen. It is all graphic, doodly white, and it's just a warming white feeling. We have the swinging hollow with 2 rocking chairs or swinging chairs inside. That was the one that's been discussed that was inappropriate, but nonetheless, it is quite enjoyable. Then we have the Ooghat. It is very old style of antiquery, if that is an English word, but I'm going to call it as it is. We have the Bubble Boulay Teak. It is a cave with bubbles inside of it.
It is this extraordinary collection of rooms. There's a tribute to some of the great artists of our time. Vermeer's girl with a pearl earring features on one of the cushions. That Versailles is wonderfully over the top. I've been to Versailles. I think this is even better, albeit on a slightly smaller scale. They are so much fun. So I'll tell you what, we're going to go for a little stroll through, have a look at them, come and join us, and then we'll give our thoughts, and I'll try and pick my favourite. So these are so much fun to hang out in. I'm planning to wait and taste in all of them and then book a car to get me home. Before I pick my one, what's your favourite one, Petey?
Well, I would say the Swinging Hollow is quite a unique choice.
I think it is pretty cool. I'm a little worried that after my 9th glass of bubbles, I might struggle to get out of the swinging chair. I really like Versailles. The Palace of Versailles is wonderfully over the top and great to visit. And I did really enjoy Marrakesh. But I think that bibliothèque, partly the name, it's library meets bubbles, and it just looks like the kind of place I could settle into for a very long afternoon. All right, so that is the selection of caves. If you haven't seen them, come and check them out. But the caves are not the only attraction. There's also some pretty good wine. So this is the moment I thought we'd never get to. After hours and hours of telling me about the family history and dragging me through the caves 4 times, we finally got to drinking some wine, and I'm really excited to do this because this is what, for me, Petey tells me the story of you as a winemaker, because it is the expression of who you are with what you do. It tells your story of your wine career and also shows how you've interpreted what Klein Roosboom has to offer from from a terroir perspective. Let's start with that wine history. Your dad was obviously in the industry, your family's had a lot of time in the valley, in the wine world. Was it something you thought you were always going to fall into?
I think from the first time I fell into an open top fermenter and got tipsy at 3 years old, I probably knew.
And fought everybody off trying to rescue you.
It was actually a horrible experience. But
Did that really happen?
yeah, no, it did happen.
I thought you just jumped in enthusiastically to try the
No,
wine.
a lot of people are tempted, right, after 2 glasses to get more. But no, I actually did. I fell into the red wine fermenter, and my dad took 3 or 2 big leaps over the other 2 fermenters and luckily got to me.
This is kind of an Obelix falling into the magic potion kind
Yeah.
of story, and this kicks off your wine.
I still have my underpants covered in red wine, framed. But no, yeah. So to cut to the chase, yes, I always knew I'm destined to become a winemaker. History, winemakers in the family. Studied winemaking, and then traveled a little bit to California, Sonoma County, and then I found my roots back to Durbanville side to make some wines, and then ended up at Klein Roosboom and building the brand and helping with the brand. And you know, it's, as you by now know, it's a very knitted family, and my family is friends, well, family friends, as you can call it. And I think it's just a harmonious working environment.
Rightly or wrongly, you're making wine in Durbanville. The first wine you are likely to be judged on is Sauvignon Blanc, and all the more so because it's probably the first wine you're going to have in bottle once you start your tenure. We've got some Sauvignon Blanc here. Tell me a bit about this wine and about how this reflects both you and the farm.
So this one I chose was the My Way Sauvignon Blanc. It is very close to my heart. Not the label itself, but the grapes itself. The viticulturist on the farm, our age difference is 10 days. These grapes are planted within those 10 days of planting. We were born, and I registered the Block of Vineyard as a single vineyard. It's bush vine, and so it's currently 37 years of age, and registered the Block of Vineyards also with the Old Vine project that is close to my heart. I know the winemaker and the viticulturists rarely sit around the table of planting or revining or regrowing, and they want the yield, we want the quality. So where do you split it? In the middle or one to the one side? But that's the long story of this one. This will always be our flagship wines, the My Way Sauvignon Blanc. The name itself, as each label is dedicated to a family member that we've mentioned before, is My Way. Now, everybody knows the song Frank Sinatra, I Did It My Way. This is exactly what it is. The song was dedicated and loved by the grandfather of Karin, of Johan. And it's just always played in his house when you walk in with a glass of wine, just past 5. That was his theme, that was his go-to. And it's just, I think we're privileged enough to do a whole My Way range dedicated to him, as he was such a big influence.
There's almost a little wildness to the wine which comes through, and that wood gives it a smokiness as well. The composition of this wine is delightful, but what I'd like to do is set it aside and come back to it in a year or two, because I think the evolution on this is going to be so exciting. All right, Sauvignon Blanc, well, you've nailed it. That's not really surprising. You do well to get Sauvignon Blanc wrong in Durbanville, although you have got this exceptionally right. What though of Chenin Blanc as we move on to wine number 2, because this is a grape that almost, from my perspective, if you're a winemaker, you've kind of got so much work to do to decide what to do, because Chenin Blanc's potential is almost limitless.
Yeah, it's just endless. I think the reason why I chose this Chenin, as I mentioned, this was the base foundation of probably all of the farms in Durbanville. was growing Chenin just for the bulk. And this Chenin has got a very big story. I hope you're ready for this.
All right, you've got me intrigued.
So the white labels, you will see it is our My Way, is our flagship range, right? The green labels is our limited release. So the limited release on this Chenin is only 2,100 bottles made. And the way it's been made, it has been harvested with a red Ford F-250 Bucky.
That comes through straight away on the mid-palate.
You can almost smell that V6. Yeah.
The fumes coming out.
And naturally fermented, 3/4 way down. Then it was pressed in an old basket press, a vintage basket press that can only, it's got a yield of 100 kilograms. And then fermented dry in wooden oak barrels and bottled by hand and waxed by hand and labeled by hand. And
why do you do this to yourself? This must have taken you like weeks and weeks to do every single element of, and I can taste it. There is artisanal craftsmanship in the wine, but this is a proper labour of love. You've gone to every possible element and thought, how can I take as long as possible to make this happen?
Well, you have to keep the people intrigued, no?
Is there the reward for you? There certainly is something. I'm loving drinking this, but I didn't have to give up my social life for 9 months to make this wine because it would have demanded that sort of time. When you drink it, do you get that sense of, yes, it was all worth it?
Of course. Even though it, I've got a small child at home, a lighty, and although he cries a lot, well, I cry when I drink the wine, so it balances each other out. But no, it's for the love. It's for the love of winemaking itself. Just to see the development of the start and the finish.
I often think that being a winemaker is a really good dry run for parenthood because there are many similarities. This is lovely, and as with so much wine, when you know the story, it adds to your understanding and your appreciation. And thank you for sharing this. I mean, thank you for putting in all the time. It's going to take me a lot less time to drink it than it took you to make it, but it is lovely. 2 delightful whites. But also some red, and I'm really excited to try this because the red, as we mentioned earlier, the red of the Durbanville Valley is really just starting to raise its voice a little.
So next we have the My Way barrel selection. It is a Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot and a Petit Verdot blend. The barrel selection is a selection of barrels that I go through about every second month of the fermentation process from that current vintage, and then I do my plus and my minus marking, and all the winemakers has their own unique way of scribbling on the side or on the barrel, and that would say, well, it leans towards the plus side or to the blend side or which side it goes to, and I think this one it just shows the creativity that Klein Roosboom can actually. And we need to, because this our reputation to show our courage, and the blendings that we do is our creativity, and I think it just shows you a lot more than your usual boutique winery, and it's got a lot to offer.
I think that's the beauty of a lot of South African wine at the moment in this style. When it is well made, as this is, we can put it away if we are able to and hang on to it. But you have to, from a commercial perspective, have some wine you can drink early enough. And when you're able to combine wine that can age with wine that you can drink now and it's the same bottle, you've done something pretty special. And that's exactly it. The precision to this, the tannins are so soft, everything's sitting ready in a lovely sense of equilibrium. And it is racing down. And probably your climate, probably that little air conditioning unit you have just down the road that sweeps across Table Bay is helping you to develop exactly this kind of style.
Yeah, the Atlantic Ocean, and with all its energy, early mornings where that cold breezes rushes in, I mean, it just develops in this, I'm frowned upon to say a greener style, but it helps certain varietals to give it a lot more tannin structure. And this just shows clearly through these wines, although you have to age it for about minimum of 18 months in barrel to get it that full body and depth. That is where this wine shows quite uniquely. Yeah, and I'm so proud of this wines.
As you should be, as you should be.
Cheers.
There we go. There's just a snapshot of the wine. If you want to check it out properly, then come and visit and go and wander through the caves and go and hang out and find out about the story and enjoy Jean or enjoy the deck here and enjoy some of the food. And there's one other thing you can also enjoy if you come along, and if you ask them very nicely, they might say yes, and that's the art of attacking a bottle of wine with a sword. So, welcome to my final adventure at Klein Roosboom, and this is something I've been really excited to do because when I was chatting to the guys beforehand, they told me one of the things they love teaching people is the art of sabrage. A sabrage is a French word meaning to theatrically open a bottle of champagne with a sword while everybody looks on admiringly and hope that you get it right. I have what is either a very cool bread knife or a saber sword for champagne. I think it's the latter. How exactly, PT, does this work? How should I be doing this?
With great confidence.
All right.
So the easiest way is to remove the cage or the wire hood itself. Look for the seam on the bottle.
Seam? What is that?
It is where the bottle comes together.
Ah, right, that little join.
Yeah, that joint. It's a line that runs from the top to the bottom, straight down. Put that seam up and follow with the saber, flat surface, and just carry through.
All right, so without taking it off yourself, just show me how that would happen so I can watch closely.
So you would hold it with a firm grip.
Okay.
And then just run it horizontally with the bottle and just slide it, goes up through and just hits the top of the rim and it pops off.
I have tried this once before on camera. The cameraman in question gets out of intensive care next August.
Yeah.
I can live with that. Cameramen are very replaceable, I find. All right, so quite simply, and I use this here?
Yeah, so today, because you're at Klein Roosboom, now you can firstly hold the bottle for me.
All right.
And I just want to just do a test run.
Okay, so I would take
go through and follow through and hit it there. Don't
pull. And then it's going to fly off.
Exactly. Don't pull the ball towards you.
Okay.
Hold it nice and firm and then, wait.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, you're using the wrong saber.
But there only is one saber.
At Klein Roosboom, we always do something different.
You've just made this up to make me look like an absolute
I would never do that.
So here I just hit it.
I'll bring you a new one. So you can just run it.
Okay, let me try and find
on the bottle.
Seam. All right, is that the seam?
It is the seam.
There's the seam. Okay. Is this really working, or have you just made this up?
No, I've not made this up.
Let's do this.
Just keep it on the bottle, right? Just one.
And I kind of got to hit it there.
Yep.
All right, there we go.
With a little bit of force.
All right. Eat your heart out, Michael Fridjon. Here we go. 1, 2. How cool is that? Spade work of the very finest sense. Peter, you're a master professor of sabrage. So there we go. The French might use a saber when you're in suburban Durbanville. Then a family heirloom spade will do rather nicely. That was loads of fun. Thank you for teaching me that. So there we go. We're going to finish this off. I might take this home. This is brilliant. I can't wait to try this out next time I'm at a gala dinner. It really was loads of fun. But more importantly, this whole period of time here has been terrific. So next time you're out in Durbanville, drop by, come and visit. Maybe they'll even let you use the spade.